start melting, cause a fire, car burns down to the ground, can't pay for an Uber, go broke, go homeless, all because of this electrical wire. Alright, so when I bought this car, one of the things that wasn't working on it was the coolant temp sensor. I'm sorry, coolant temp gauge. So when I talked to the guy that sold it, he said that he changed this changed out this coolant temp sensor, which is this guy here. It just bolts into the side of the driver's side head towards the front. He said that it was new, and he doesn't quite understand why. He doesn't know why it wasn't working. When I was looking at the plug, it was slightly pulled out, but I noticed that it was, let's see if I can get this for you guys. I don't know, not complete, basically disintegrated. So despite having a new sensor down there, I can take a wild guess and say why the gauge is not working. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this plug and see what happens. Now, coincidentally, the same exact issue, well, let me back up. The gauge currently reads 0, so it doesn't matter how hot this thing gets, it continues to read 0. That may have played a role in one of the issues that I had with the car, which essentially it overheated. But I have the same issue on my Corvette, except the coolant gauge is pegged to the right, so it just constantly shows that it's overheated. So I ended up actually getting 2 of these guys to see if I can change the one on my Corvette and see if that's the issue. So I'm going to go ahead and swap a new one in, plug it in, and see what happens. So here's the pigtail that I'm going to be putting on. I ended up getting it online from Michigan Motorsports. Shout out to Michigan Motorsports. I've gotten several things from them. They ship very, very fast. Always a good, high quality products. Never been disappointed with them. I don't know if they specialize in LS, but a lot of my Corvette parts came from them as well. So I don't know. I never heard of them before I started getting into LS's, but very good company. So yeah. If you need any parts, get them from these guys. No, they're not sponsoring this video, but they've probably helped out with I don't know, 6, 7, 8 different parts that I couldn't source from anywhere else, and they just so happen to have it, so they're awesome. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss this guy, well, not toss it, we're gonna have to cut this plug off, get this guy onto that, and plug it in and see what happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the process for putting the pigtail on. As you can see, first thing you have to do is remove like the first 1/4 inch of the wires. So I did that there. I did it here as well. Just want to show you guys what all is needed. Obviously you need the pigtail. You'll need 2 of these butt connectors. They're fairly small. You'll need some of this shrink tubing. I guess you don't absolutely have to have it. You can use electrical tape, but I decided to use it, and some wire loom, as it is right close to the headers, so you're going to want to protect those wires. All this stuff, I mean, you can go ahead and get it at Harbor Freight. I typically just pick the stuff up as I go there, spend a few bucks, and that way whenever you're working on anything electrical, you have the stuff you need. And of course, Harbor Freight special heat gun. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of this job real quick. So whenever you do this, if you are working with the shrink stuff, you want to make sure you put it on before you connect all your wires. Have an extra, I don't know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch on each side of the butt connector. So this is the butt connector. I'm going to go out to right there. All right, doesn't have to be exact. It goes without saying, if you connect all this stuff, if you connect these wires, right, and you don't have this guy on the wire, well, obviously you're not going to be able to put it on as a sleeve and shrink it. And as you can see, this fits perfectly over. So perfect that I may not be able to get this thing out. But, all right. So we'll start with the yellow wire. Go ahead and put this guy on. This is a little bit tricky because the wiring here is not very long, and I have to okay. So I got that guy on. Now we just have to crimp this guy. All right, at the end of that, I usually just give it a quick tug. If it comes out, obviously, you're gonna have to start all over again. But in this case, you don't have to start all over again. Okay. So then we got this other guy. The wire loom, or the shrink tube on. When you're doing this and you're using a butt connector, one thing to pay attention to is the sizing of the butt connector you choose. There's different size butt connectors, so don't choose the largest one, because if you look inside, there's a hole, and as you place the wire in the hole, you want to be able to hit a stop when the outside shield of the wire hits the end of that, or the start of that little metal crimp part, right? Otherwise the whole thing can go through and you can crimp around the wire here and it may not work, and you're trying to figure out why it's not working. So just take a look at it, make sure that it's the appropriate size butt connector. And then also when you put the wire in, pay attention, because the metal crimp is right here. So when the wire disappears, it should only go in a little bit more, right? So it should go in like 1/4 of an inch. You shouldn't be able to stick this thing all the way in, you know, like this much. You can always look at the other side and make sure it's not protruding through, but when you put it on the other wire, you won't be able to do that. So just pay attention to that. All right, so there's that. The angle here sucks to try to crimp, but it looks good. Let's go ahead and try to see if there's anything weird going on here. Nope, nothing weird. I'll give it one more good crimp in the center just for good measure. And we should be able to shrink this thing up now. All right. So shrinking this thing in is fairly simple. Basically just you get this thing to the center. Try to get it to the center if you can. Okay, I'm a little bit of trouble going over, so what I'm going to do is take some dielectrical grease and put it on this guy so it can slide over. Put it over this guy so it can slide over. This one's giving me a really hard time. This one, not so much. Okay. I may have to Okay. Well then, we have to redo that one. Alright, so if this happens, no biggie, just pull the butt connector off. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna cut another piece of this shrink tubing. Actually, no, I won't. Okay. So the reason it was giving me a hard time is when I was showing it earlier in the video how this goes over. I actually pushed the thing in, and to try to get it off, I had to squeeze it, so it stopped here. There's those little marks there. It stopped. I'm gonna go past it, so I'm just gonna, instead of going this way, I'm gonna go this way. So even if it does stop at that, it's at a perfect spot. I'm not wasting any more of this shrink tube stuff. Okay. That's good. All right. That's good. Now, we take this guy here. Put him over like that. And we are good. All right, so now just use a shrink gun or heat gun to shrink the stuff up. All right, there you have it. Looks pretty good. I'm not sure I'm satisfied with the ends here. I'm gonna go ahead and shrink them some more. Okay, looks good. Now I'm just going to go ahead and throw on some loom, and then when I plug this thing in, I'm probably going to zip tie the wire somewhere up here so it's not hanging, potentially touching the headers. Alright, so same idea with the loom. You basically want to make sure that you're measuring out the right amount. So you go, I usually go over the existing loom a little bit, never hurts, to the end of the plug. So it's not a perfect science, but take the wire cutters and cut that guy. Stuff is a pain in the butt to work with. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck the wires into the existing loom, which is proving to be very, very difficult for some reason. I'm not sure why. This is one of those things that should take like 2 seconds, and it takes way longer for some odd reason. Part of it is the angle. Okay. Now I know the entire thing's not going to fit in there because the width of the wires is a little bit thicker now because I got these things on there. At least I got the majority of it on. Alright. Once you get it going, it's a little bit easier. Alright. I'm just gonna slide it down just a little bit further. Okay. And there it is. Alright, now, usually what I'll do is I'll take some electrical tape and put it on. You don't necessarily have to do that, but to me, it's just an extra precaution to make sure the loom doesn't come off, start melting, cause a fire, car burns down to the ground, can't pay for an Uber, go broke, go homeless, all because of this electrical wire. I'm just kidding, it's not that serious, but it is very, very easy and simple to take care of at the time of. So, do that. And then all it does is just make sure the wire doesn't come out of the loom. The center of it, I don't expect it to come out of the loom. And how are we going to route this? Okay, I see. So I'm going to do this. Perfect. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put some electrical grease on this bad boy. Alright. And now one thing to watch out for as you're putting this guy on, I guess it doesn't really matter, you could always unplug it, but try not to go around the wire, your, what do you call it, your spark plug wire. Okay. There it is. And then I'll probably just go ahead and zip tie it right there. Makes sense that it's back this way a little bit. I'm not really sure why this is so tight in here. Jesus. It's like this was the only channel to put wire run through. Okay. It's out of the way. You don't have to put it super tight on there, just making sure that it does not contact the header, which it will not. Sits in there. And there you have it. Going down. Very easy. Time check to see if it works.